Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and of course, a very good evening wherever you might be watching from. I've not been here for a very long time due to a lot of concerns. I was in broadcasting, but ndị Igbo si na afọ ihe ka ubi ele ọba, and the Igbo tribe, the Igbo state, the Igbo nation on a critical state at this point in time, and all of us, the Nigerian court was na aga a verdict in Mazin Nnamdi on the 20th of November. And a lot of us are not worried. Well, particularly myself, I'm worried. That is why, but I have to do this broadcast. I want you to host a watch party. Copy the link to your friends on Twitter, on Instagram, or Messenger. Copy the link of this broadcast to every Igbo platform in America, in Germany, UK, in Japan, in Senegal, even here in Igbo land. Every Igbo man needs to listen and understand why I am doing this broadcast. It's going to cost you only 2 seconds or thereabout to share this video. Mazin Nnamdi has been detained by the authorities of Nigeria for years, and nobody's talking about it. Mazi Nnamdi is having a valid court order here in Nigeria. And the order says, give Mazi Nnamdi bail. And a certain court in Kenya granted Mazi Nnamdi certain number of, certain amounts of money compensation because of what they call something rendition. Let me not say what I don't know because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a law student and I don't practice law. So I'm going to limit this whole broadcast or story to the best of my knowledge. Nnamdi was accused of doing broadcast and all that. 1 month ago, we saw the same government of Nigeria negotiating with armed terrorists. You know what it means to be armed terrorist? And that is exactly why, more reason why President of the United States called Nigeria a disgraced country. You know what it means to categorize or to call the most populous, the most populated, the most talked about black nation or country a disgraced one? Coming from, after Jesus Christ, after God in heaven, the greater man, after Jesus Christ in heaven, it should be whoever that is the president of the United States of America. Ojukwu was in same scenario. Sometime during the war, Ojukwu had to flee from Nigeria to Ivory Coast. And who fell to Buai? Then president of Ivory Coast gave Ojukwu shelter. Ojukwu na Yakubu Gowon no rogo. Ojukwu na Ivory Coast. Yakubu Gowon no Nigeria. Oliver the Coke wait ye gusi. No onye nwanne ya no n'ụzọ. N'ife olili ada agụ ya. N'ụra ada atụ ya. Osike kamike mba Ojukwu. Chukwemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu yesi na Ivory Coast. Yakubu Gowon who onye betray. Yakubu Gowon was the man who went against the Aburi Accord. Osi na onye nwanne ya no n'ụzọ. N'ife olili ada agụ ya. N'ụra ada atụ ya. Shehu Shagari was the president of Nigeria. Alex Ekwueme of Oko was the vice president. Ndị Igbo ji wee biri. Sam Mbakwe, then governor of Imo State. Governor of Anambra State, Jim Ifeanyi Chukwumobodo. Somebody like Kemafia, Chubo Kadibo. Somebody like Nwafo Orizu, Akweko Orizu. Na cousin ya bi Igwe Orizu, Igwe Nnewi. Somebody like Izuchukwu Transport. Somebody like Ekenediri Chukwu. Stephen Edumude. Asi ke ihe na-eme. Abale Ekwueme, asi abata. Ni ife abaaro, ni ikemba no Ivory Coast. On exile for 12 years. Ndị Igbo bịa together. Eje meeting. Yoba Shagari biko, negotiate ye. Ojukwu returned to Igbo land. He said something. He made it categorically clear. Ojukwu si na onye ọkụkọ ya nọ n'ukwu osisi. Ọkacha oke ọba na-eso nwunye ọkụkọ ana. Ojukwu sobu na ọkụkọ gị nọ n'ukwu osisi. Gị kajie ya okwu tobi ya ụnọ. Ihe obi n'ụbọ akụluo ụnọ. Ndị Igbo bịa develop unu bụ unu. Ọ na-eme oke ọkụkọ so nwunye ọkụkọ pụọ. O sori alarụ. Nwunye ọkụkọ pụọ n'ụtụtụ. Oke ọkụkọ sori ya pụọ. Before you know it, onye nwe oke ọkụkọ chọbe ya achọ. I watch him birthday. I like him on what Tinubu so much. I don't tribalistic. I only tell you the facts and figures. What Tinubu, Shayi Tinubu. I'm from Shayi Tinubu as a very simple guy. A guy named pride. Even though now they project here to be the next governor of Lagos State, son of the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, son of Senator Remi Tinubu. Shayi Tinubu kane kumakia. Shayi Tinubu was to birthday ya. All Igbo big boys. All of them went to the birthday party of Shayi Tinubu. None of them told Shayi Tinubu about Mazin Nnamdi. Governor of Ebonyi State, Governor Bonyangu Ifurubonye APC, Governor Tinubu from all accounts. I have never seen Governor Tinubu before. Manandini na Tinubu mekogoriye, say na Tinubu de reliable, not the worthy. No kwagim kwa no gemi fa, no gemi ya. Governor Bonyangu Ifuru, Bonye APC. Governor Hope Ozodimma, Governor Hope Ozodimma Bonye APC. Governor Charles Soludo is almost in APC. We don't know the situation of Governor of Abia State, Alex Oti. Deputy Speaker, House of Rep, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu Boni, Abia State. Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Ibo Abia State. Mazin Nnamdi Kalu Boni Abia State. If I let a time more game with Ndi Igwe na Igbo. Oga na-enwe natural igwe, oga na-enwe organic igwe, igwe na-enwezi na-abịa igwe certificate. Ọ na-agba m anya mmiri n'ala Igbo na gọvanọ pụta, local government chairman pụta, igwe kwụrụ ọtọ, aha arụ ka ọ bụ n'ala Igbo. Ọ na-echeta eme eze Awọkọ, eze Joe, igwe Nzam, igwe Jesi Emeka of Ụmụeze Anam, igwe Orizu na Nnewi, igwe Nata na Ogbu. I don't know where we'll go from here. The current governor of Enugu State by APC, Governor Peter Mbah, and you know, when Peter Mbah perform well, I tell you, when Peter Mbah perform poorly, I tell you, my relationship and personal love for Peter Mbah cannot be, it's non-negotiable. I have utmost respect for Governor of Enugu State, Governor Barrister Peter Nnamdi Mbah. Peter Mbah by APC. I know why Peter Mbah by APC. I see no connect Ndi Igbo and Enugu to the center. Governor Peter Nnamdi Mbah is now in APC. Governor Peter Nnamdi Mbah, with all due respect, I'm not advice. I'm not in government. I'm not a politician. Governor Peter Nnamdi Mbah, if you want to win the heart of Igbo people, go to Abuja. You are in Abuja. Governor Peter Nnamdi Mbah of Enugu State. 95% of Igbo people want to see Mazin Nnamdi released. Nobody cares about your re-election. You are going to govern Enugu State for 8 years. Governor Peter Mbah, happened the other time with the Air Force. You were flying with Air Force on national assignments. Your son, your brother, is languishing in DSS custody in Abuja. Governor Nnamdi Mbah, Onadema Sokata Ezanya, Ekpuru nkata n'isugu ya okwu. For the past 2 months in Enugu State, and what if I because our governor they negotiate APC. On negotiate APC. They are already planning for next election. Managua na Kirika. Somebody should copy this message. Send it to the governor of Enugu State. He's my brother. I love him so much. And I have to tell him the truth. And may praise the Governor Peter Mbah more former. Peter Mbah currently had a more former. How many days can Peter Mbah spend in Enugu State? Ask yourself, and where run Enugu State in the last 2 months? Governor Peter Mbah by APC. Nobody cares about that. Governor Peter Nnamdi Mbah, you are present. In fact, You are a representative of Ndi Igbo. Enugu is the capital of Igbo land. Have you sat to ask yourself, what about 20th of November? What if they sentence Mazi Nnamdi to death by hanging, Chukwekwena, or by firing squad, Chukwekwena, or life imprisonment? What are we going to do? Igemekwa election na 2027. Iyero na emeku nune. Governor of Enugu State, Governor of Anambra State, Hope Uzodimma, Alex Oti, Obonyanwu Ifuru. All of you should cover your faces with shame. Arambo Okwuluora ndị Igbo, ọbụna ma gwara unu eziokwu, Chineke were ndụ m. I fear no human being. So onye na-atụ egwu bụ ekekere ụwa. Oliver Lukoku si na onye nwanne ya nọ n'ụzọ, n'ụra ada atụ ya, n'ihe oriri ada agụ ya. O si na eme nwata ka emere ibi ya, obi dị ya mma. With all due respect, I'm going to mention names. Asari Dokubo, Government Tompolo, His Royal Majesty Ateketom, Amayanabo for Kereka. Somebody like Sunday Igboho, with all due respect, Amayanabo for Kereka. Igwe no Kereka Ateketom. Nde we go similar issues with federal government of Nigeria. Their people went to federal government and negotiated. Nobody in Igbo land want to talk about Nnamdi Kanu. Nobody want to talk about the court judgment he obtained. Nobody want to talk about the compensation. Everybody want re-election. Governor Soludo, if you like, you govern Anambra for 50 years. One day, nature is going to retire you. Governor Peter Ndubisi Mbah, if you like, you rule Enugu State for 50 years. Nature is going to retire you. And I tell you people one thing. One day, Igbo youths are going to rise against all of you. All of you are selfish. Governor Peter Ndubisi Mbah, you connected to the center. You connected to APC. What are the dividends? Mazin Nnamdi was called in Enugu, I think in 2019. When Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi was there, they told Mazin Nnamdi to drop Biafra and make demands. He said, okay, before the conversation, make Onitsha a seaport, a proper seaport. Mazin Nnamdi said, make Iguacha a seaport, a proper seaport. Construct second Niger bridge. Make Enugu airport, an international airport. Is this too much to ask? Onye obuna no na Enugu mana Peter Mbah birozi na Enugu. I love Peter Mbah so much, mana adi ma atu ya egwu. Any den toro mmadu ibe m egwu, Chineke were ndom. As na federal government nye our governor of Enugu State contract. EJ rehabilitate all the police facilities in Nigeria. Governor of Enugu State is now moving with presidential air force. Governor of Enugu State. Is it not high time to take 1 minute and say, Mr. President, my people, Igbo people are clamoring. They are demanding. They want the unconditional release of Mazin Nnamdi. Is it too much? And I'm Enugu. When if I'm in Enugu now? As of 6 months ago, Enugu one of the fastest rising city or state in Africa. Everything is on hold. Because our governor moved to APC. And we were told that if you go to APC, everything is going to be easy. Governor Peter Ndubisi, but where is your conscience? People of Enugu are lamenting. People are complaining. Soludo na Agboegwu, a professor without dignity, a professor without integrity, a professor without shame. Governor Soludo doesn't behave like a professor. Onabasi na mmadụ nwe professor, onwe nu stays, onwe composure, or man how to talk. Governor Soludo of almighty Anambra State is turning to a stand-up comedian. Alex Oti, Mazin Nnamdi, by the virtue of state and origin, is from Abia State. Governor Hope Uzodimma, Abia na Imo bụ fiye, anyị niile bụ ndị Igbo. Before 1970, in fact, as at 1976, there were only 2 Igbo states, Anambra or Enugu. Anambra and Imo. Enugu and Abia were created in 1991. Ebonyi in 1996. Atuo Mazin Nnamdi Kanunga, what are we going to do? Juo Nwegi, Kebe Sunday Igbo Hono, Kebe Igwe Ate Kamba Warrior no Igwe. Amayanaba for Krika. They had similar cases with Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Their people came. Sometimes, so about the personality. It's about pride. It's about identity. It's about the people. Every day, but Mazin Nnamdi Kanu na court. Emeya caricature. Oyiro Fuakwa. For how many years? Our governor in Enugu is flying a presidential jet. Our governor in Enugu is dining with the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Our governor in Enugu is more concerned about the election in 2027. If you win election in 2027, it's remaining 4 years. Before you close your eyes and open it, 4 years will elapse. You are no longer the governor of Enugu State. With all due respect, Mr. Governor. Every day, unu na-enere Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, nwa unu nwoke, ọ bụgodị na onwe ihe ọjọọ mee. Let's assume na onwe ihe ọjọọ mee. In 1982, Stephen Edumude, Chubo Kadigbo, Oliver the Coke, Dan Ubajaka, C.N. Lodibe, Ekene Nduwa, Deputy Governor of Anambra State. Roy Umenyi, I'm deputy governor of Anambra State then. Alan Sekueme, Oliver the Coke Kunebe, Ndini Nachi Nigeria. Ekene Diruno, Nuna Meguinu Kwara Inankwa. Alahaji Galadima, Osi Ekene Derea. President Shao Shagari, Akenachi Nigeria, Ekene Derea. Who is going to be man enough to approach President of Nigeria and talk about Mazin Nnamdi Kanu? Governor Hope Uzodimma, Governor Peter Mbah, Shaman, all of you. In my presence, none of you is fit. I remember when I was a little boy in Anambra State, the governor was Chinua Kembadinuju. Chinua Kembadinuju was everything. Chinua Kembadinuju was shamelessly buried last year. Onyo so ge bori ga wo. Look at a warlord. Chukwu Emeka Odumegwu Chukwu, the only Ikembe enwe na ala Igbo. On 6 feet. The Zeke of Africa. Zeke on 6 feet. Asene ha yizo na ya Chineke. Mgbe ị na-ekpuchi mmehie gị, chee na nwere anya na afọ gị. Governor Enugu State bụ nwanne m, I love him so much. But presently, Governor of Enugu State in our committee blunder. A lot of indigenes of Enugu are crying for one reason or the other. If I don't say it, Chineke Warendum, dear Governor of Enugu State, how many days are you spending in Enugu? How many days are you spending outside of Enugu? You are taking up a national contract. Are there no competent people, engineers, contractors in Nigeria that is going to take up the contract of rehabilitating all the police institutions in Nigeria? Ichichabere Enugu, Enugu Kanebakwa, and you are the man in charge, roaming around with private jets. Chineke Bomoku spare word ever. You think you will remain the governor of Enugu, remain the governor of Anambra, remain the governor of Imo, if the jet Mazin Nnamdi Kanu? Asking Andy Igbo echekwa ife ha nwere echekwa. Obu na ga eme Nnamdi Kanu ife or this successful. What if it comes your turn? Look at the capacity of Ike Ekwere Mmadụ. Ike Chukwu Ekwere Mmadụ, deputy senate president then. Look at the predicament on here. It tells you one thing. Enwere onye karịrị ọnwụnwa. What do we do? On 20th, The court says, we are going to rule on Mazin Nnamdi, and they told him to file a defense. He said, why would I file a defense? There is existing court order which Nigerian state refused to obey. Even under Buhari, that judgment came. Nigeria refused to adhere to a court ruling. Somebody had a court to near judgment. Nobody wants to adhere to court judgment or ruling. And you want to try such person, same person in the court. He said, I have no confidence in the court. Right Honorable Benjamin Carlo, Governor Peter Ndubisi, Governor Boni Anwifuru, Governor Hope Uzodimma, Governor Alesoti, Governor Charles Soludo, the stand-up comedian. We are watching with keen interest. If anything goes wrong on 28th, Igbo people will never forgive all of you. Igbo people will never, ever forgive all of you. I know for how many years? I know the other month, or last month. Now, somewhere in northern Nigeria, Kafulani Hesman Ubuegbe, Burafo, Narianonu, they negotiate with Nigerian government. Managing Nnamdi Kanu, Makasi no Okwuluora na radio. He said something on radio. Ejidia for how many years? When somebody they armed, government they negotiate with them. Thank you very much and God bless.